You're alive, aren't you? You're breathing, existing in the relentless flow of time. But are you truly living? Or are you merely drifting, swept along by the fierce current of external expectations, rigid rules, and the sweet lies this world constantly imposes on you? Existentialism isn't some complex abstract theory for academic scholars. It's a blunt call to action, a direct slap in the face of self-deception, forcing you to confront a harsh yet powerful truth. You are entirely free, and with that freedom comes an absolute burden of responsibility, one you cannot escape. The world around you constantly whispers comforting words, sweet guidance. Follow this path, do that thing, be this kind of person, and you'll find happiness, security, approval. Society relentlessly creates molds, predefined notions of success, happiness, morality, and a correct life. Family, friends, educational systems, media, all contribute to shaping you, telling you who you are and what you should do, how you must be to fit in. Do you believe those lies? Are you willing to accept a predetermined life, a role whose script was written before you even realized you had your own voice? Do you truly want to be a supporting character in your own life story? Existentialism challenges every illusion of a destiny or a fixed human nature. It declares a blazing truth, a fundamental premise that shakes all old beliefs. Existence precedes essence. This means you weren't born with a predetermined purpose, with an assigned role. You weren't created like a chair made for sitting or a knife made for cutting. You were thrown into this world, naked and without a map, without an instruction manual. And it's in that raw existence that you are forced to shape your own essence, to create who you are through every choice, every action, every decision, whether small or grand. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are not a passive product of genetic inheritance or social environment. You are the sum total of your own choices, of the decisions you've made, whether you are fully conscious of them or not. This is not a gentle comfort. It is a fierce challenge, a truth that can be dizzying for anyone who dares to face it. Everything you are, everything you have, everything you do is the undeniable result of what you've chosen, of the actions you've taken, of the values you've forged. When you begin to grasp the truth of your absolute freedom, when the curtain of illusion about predetermination or external control falls, a feeling will surge in your soul, unmistakable for any other emotion. That is existential dread or anxiety. This isn't ordinary worry about work or money, about missing a deadline or a small project failing. It's a profound unease, a dizzying sensation to your core when faced with countless unformed possibilities and the overwhelming weight of choice. You feel anxious because there's no one to blame. There's no supreme being to hold responsible for your mistakes. There's no destiny or system that can shoulder the burden of your wrong choices or the dire consequences you must bear. You are the sole architect of your life, and everything depends on you. Each open door carries with it countless unexplored paths, and each path is an absolute commitment, a renunciation of other paths, and a complete acceptance of its consequences. This anxiety, though uncomfortable, is a positive sign. It shows you're facing the truth instead of escaping it in unconsciousness. Those who avoid freedom are often those who live in collective unconsciousness, conforming to the crowd without thought, seeking safety and comfort in not having to make any real decisions. They try to evade anxiety by blaming unfavorable circumstances, by blaming others who caused their problems, or by blaming some system beyond their control. They convince themselves that, "I can't be otherwise," or "I have no other choice." This is a profound form of self-deception, an avoidance of freedom. They're seeking solace in being a victim, rather than confronting the anxiety of abandoning false security to find a new path, a more authentic life. The fear of uncertainty, the fear of failure, the fear of responsibility is far greater than their yearning to live truly. Existential anxiety forces you to confront the absolute solitude of existence. You are a unique individual, solely responsible for yourself. No one can live for you. No one can make the final decisions for you. No one can be responsible for your journey. This is a truth that can make you shiver, a profound loneliness you must experience on your own. But it is also the firm foundation for all genuine growth and development of the human being. One of the harshest truths that existentialism does not shy away from, but rather exposes starkly, is this: life itself has no fixed meaning, no predetermined purpose. There is no grand plan written by a supreme being, no ultimate goal waiting for you to discover at the end of the road. The universe is cold, indifferent, and completely unconcerned with your existence, with your dreams, with your pains. The stars do not care about your personal fate. This, at first glance, can lead to nihilism, where you feel everything is meaningless, every effort futile, every value baseless. This is a dangerous trap. But this is not existentialism's final conclusion. On the contrary, it is the starting point, the origin of a different kind of freedom and responsibility. If life has no fixed meaning, if no one bestows a purpose upon you, then that is not a condemnation. It is a grand invitation. It means you have complete freedom to create meaning for yourself. You are the only one who can define the purpose, the values, and the significance of your existence. Meaning is not something to be found. It is something to be created. You might witness someone losing a loved one in a senseless, sudden, and tragic accident. The pain is immense, and the event has no meaning in a cause and effect sense, no clear moral lesson to be drawn from the loss. If consumed by that meaninglessness, they would spiral into despair and paralysis. But an existential individual won't stop there. They will choose to create meaning from that pain. They might transform the extreme grief into motivation to establish a charity, to help others in similar circumstances, or to live a fuller, more meaningful life in memory of the departed. They don't search for pre-existing meaning in the event. They actively forge it, weaving a tapestry of meaning from the threads of their suffering. The burden of creating meaning is immense. It demands relentless creativity, courage in facing truth, and an unwavering will to continuously redefine oneself and one's purpose. You cannot borrow meaning from others, from an outdated religion, or from superficial societal standards. Borrowed meanings will always be hollow, lacking the true power to sustain you when facing the abyss of existence. True meaning must be born from your own choices and actions, from your continuous struggle with the inherent absurdity of existence. To face your absolute freedom and responsibility, you must live an authentic life. Living authentically means being true to yourself, not evading the truth of your existence, your choices, and the unavoidable finitude of life. It is a harmony between the person you are inside and the person you present to the world. Many people live an inauthentic life. They escape freedom and responsibility by unconditionally conforming to the crowd. They do what everyone else does, believe what everyone else believes, accept the values approved by the majority, so they don't have to think or choose for themselves. They are sheep in the flock, seeking safety in conformity, in not standing out, in not drawing attention, in not taking responsibility for personal choices. blaming everything external. They constantly seek an external target to blame for their failures or misfortunes. Society, the government, family, genetics, birth circumstances, bad luck. They thoroughly reject personal responsibility, making themselves victims of fate. They don't ask what they can do. They only ask who is to blame. Living according to assigned roles. They only live by the roles society assigns them. The good child, the exemplary employee, the perfect spouse, the model citizen. Never exploring their true inner self, their own unique passions, desires, and values. They lose themselves in others' definitions, living a life rented from someone else. Denying death. They pretend death doesn't exist, or that it's something distant, irrelevant to their current life. They don't confront the finitude of their own life, and therefore, they never live fully. Never cherish the precious moments they have. They procrastinate, they waste time, because they believe in the illusion of eternity. Living authentically is a continuous journey of self-discovery and self-creation. It requires you to constantly question everything, to challenge every imposed belief, and to dare to make difficult choices that may not be socially approved or supported by loved ones. You might observe someone who grew up in a traditional family, steered toward a particular stable and respectable profession. Living inauthentically is passively accepting that profession, despite lacking passion or joy, simply because it's the right path, the path their parents wanted. Living authentically is daring to abandon that path, accepting fierce criticism from family and society, accepting initial financial insecurity to pursue a different passion, a path you choose yourself, even if it's riskier, less recognized. This action involves extreme anxiety, but it is also the strongest self-affirmation, a leap into true freedom. Living authentically is embracing anxiety, accepting the absurd, and taking on absolute responsibility. It's the act of continuously creating yourself, bit by bit, through every decision, every action, every confrontation with truth. This is one of the greatest burdens, yet also the greatest power of existentialism: absolute responsibility. Because you are entirely free, you must bear full responsibility for all your choices and actions, as well as for their consequences. This means there are no excuses, no justifications for your failures, your weaknesses, or your blameworthy behaviors. You cannot say, "I couldn't have done otherwise. Circumstances forced me into this." You always have a choice. Even not choosing, remaining silent, or retreating is a choice, and you must take responsibility for that choice. Nietzsche, though not an existentialist in the traditional sense, emphasized the will to power and self-overcoming. He viewed responsibility as a sign of strength, not a burden of weakness. A strong person, a superior individual, is one who dares to bear responsibility for themselves and their life, seeking no solace in blaming others or becoming a victim of circumstance. When you face absolute responsibility, you'll stop wasting time complaining or regretting the past. You'll be compelled to act, to make decisions, to accept all their consequences. This is a terrifying liberation. Liberation from the illusion of passivity, of being unable to do anything else. You might observe someone who constantly blames the bad economy, the incompetent government, or the system's unfairness for their inability to find a suitable job. This is a clear avoidance of responsibility. An individual who confronts absolute responsibility would say, "I'm unemployed. That's the raw reality. So, what am I going to do about it?" They would immediately seek new opportunities, learn new skills, create their own work, or accept temporary jobs while searching for a more suitable path. They don't wait for the world to change. They change themselves. Absolute responsibility also extends to your duty to shape human nature in general. Every choice you make doesn't just shape you. It also creates a model, an ideal human being, whom you believe others should emulate. This is the moral burden of existential freedom. When you choose, you are choosing for all humanity. You are creating a value that you believe is universal, whether you are conscious of it or not. One of the most powerful drives, yet also the most difficult truth that existentialism compels you to face, is the unavoidable existence of death, mortality. Death is not something to be avoided, denied, or pretended away. It is an undeniable truth, the ultimate, insurmountable limit of your existence. It is the endpoint of all possibilities, of all choices. The awareness of death should not lead to despair, discouragement, or resignation. On the contrary, it should be a powerful source of inspiration to live fully, to make the most of every moment you have. When you truly grasp that time is finite, that each passing day is a day you can never reclaim, you will cherish every moment, every choice. You will stop procrastinating, stop wasting your life on trivialities, on mundane concerns, on unnecessary fears. You might observe someone living a dull life, always postponing their deep dreams and desires, believing they have infinite time to realize them. When they confront a serious illness diagnosis or witness the sudden death of a loved one, they will awaken fiercely. They realize the finitude of life with stark clarity, and that propels them to live more intensely, pursue passions, spend time with important people, and undertake things they've long delayed. Death, in this case, becomes a potent reminder of life's absolute value, a catalyst to live more authentically and meaningfully than ever before. Confronting death is accepting the truth of the transience of all things, including yourself, including all that you have built. But it is precisely in that transience that the value of life is affirmed most powerfully. Every choice, every action, every moment becomes infinitely precious because they cannot be repeated. Time cannot be turned back. Existential philosophy speaks of being thrown into existence, Geworfenheit. This is a core concept, describing that you don't choose where you're born, you don't choose your family, you don't choose your initial economic or social circumstances. You simply are there, at a specific time, in a specific space, without any prior consent or choice. This might seem pessimistic, even hopeless, but in reality, it is the foundation of your absolute freedom. No matter where you are thrown, no matter how harsh your initial circumstances, you always have the power to choose how you react, how you live that life. Your initial circumstances don't define you. It is your choices within those circumstances that shape you, that determine who you are. Imagine someone born into extreme poverty, lacking everything from education and opportunities to social support. They might feel like victims of fate, thrown into a difficult life with no way out. That's one way to avoid their responsibility and freedom. But an individual who accepts their thrownness won't let those circumstances define or limit them. They will look at the choices they can make, seek learning opportunities, work tirelessly, and gradually rise above those difficult circumstances. They don't complain about where they were thrown. They focus on what they will do in that place, what they will transform that place into. They turn their thrownness into the foundation for creating their own path, to demonstrate their will to overcome. The power of choice lies in its being the sole driver of change and personal development. Every moment is an opportunity to choose, to recreate yourself, to reshape the trajectory of your life. You are not a finished product. You are an ongoing project, a work in progress being built brick by your own choices. Many people live an anonymous life, a life of the they, Heidegger's dust man, swept along by what others do, think, and say. They lose their individual identity, merging into the crowd, becoming an indistinguishable part of the collective. Existentialism challenges you to break free from that mediocrity, to become a unique, self-affirming individual, someone with their own inherent value who creates their own path. To do that, you must dare to face the solitude of authentic choice. When you make a decision that is truly yours, one that goes against the majority or societal expectations, it might not be understood by anyone, nor supported by anyone. You will stand alone, confronting the judgment or indifference of the world, but it is in that very solitude that you will find your own strength, the power to forge your own path, unconstrained by others' expectations or pressures. You must become the one who defines yourself, not an object to be defined by those around you. Stop seeking external validation from praise or the approval of the crowd. Your true strength and value lie in your daring to live authentically, in your willingness to take responsibility for all your choices, and in your courage to create a life that belongs solely to you. Consider a young artist with innate talent but pressured to create marketable works to gain recognition and make a living. If they conform to that pressure, they are living as one of the they in the art world, losing their unique identity and originality. If they dare to face initial financial hardship, lack of recognition, to persistently pursue their own unique artistic style, even if considered crazy or impractical, they are powerfully affirming themselves. They are creating value for themselves, not for others. Existentialism is not a philosophy of despair or pessimism. On the contrary, it is a philosophy of liberation and ultimate power. It frees you from sweet but deceptive illusions, from comforting lies, from the invisible chains that society and you yourself have placed upon you. Yes, it carries the burden of absolute responsibility. Responsibility for every choice, every action, every consequence. It carries the anxiety of facing countless choices and the inherent meaninglessness of the universe. It carries the solitude of being the sole creator of your own meaning. But it is precisely within that burden that an incomparable glory lies. The glory of freely and continuously creating yourself, the glory of living an utterly authentic life, the glory of confronting finitude and transforming it into the most powerful motivation. You cannot escape your freedom. It's not something you can discard. It's a core, inseparable part of your existence. You cannot escape your responsibility. It is the price of that freedom, the inevitable consequence of the power you hold. Stop complaining about fate. Stop blaming circumstances or others. Stop living an inauthentic life, a life scripted by others, lives you never truly wanted to be a part of. Look directly at the truth. Accept it courageously. You are entirely free. You are entirely responsible. And it is in directly, courageously confronting these truths that you will find the unparalleled strength to shape your life, not as a passive victim, but as a self-mastering individual, a grand architect of your very own existence. This is existentialism's final challenge, an uncompromising summons. Will you face your freedom, embrace its responsibility, and forge an authentic, meaningful life? Or will you forever run from it, sinking into the unconsciousness of a life that isn't truly yours, a life lived for others? The choice is in your hands, and only you can make it.